Welcome to Inside the Deal. I'm Suzanne Stevens. I'm here with Mike Keeley. Mike is a partner in the antitrust group at Axinn, Veltrop Harkrider. Mike, you penned an article for the Deal Newsweekly on antitrust lawsuits recently, and in it you argue that it's logical to think that we will see more antitrust suits filed in the economy that we're in right now. Why is that?
Well, I think there are two main reasons, Suzanne, and thanks for having me here today. I think first, I'm going to call it a recession, and the recession that we're clearly in, and it seems to be getting worse, companies are going to have more pressure to fight for every last sale that's available to them. There are fewer customers, people are going to be more aggressive, companies will be more aggressive. And as a result, I think you'll see some sharper practices in the marketplace. That's only natural. That doesn't mean that they're anti-competitive, but they're sharper.
So they're going to be more aggressive in kind of protecting their turf.
Exactly. And then second, I think that as more companies begin to struggle financially and start teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, they'll consider filing an antitrust lawsuit a more appealing prospect. Obviously, that costs them money to spend more money on lawyers, but it may be seen as a last hope to gain some protection from their competitors and try to stay alive.
Well, certainly the economy has been tanking for a while. Are we seeing evidence of more antitrust lawsuits already?
Well, by one measure, we have. A recent study found that in 2008, as of about a month ago, there were already more lawsuits filed under the antitrust laws than there were in 2007. But I actually think that it's more likely to pick up going forward, even more than it has so far. As you see more companies filing for bankruptcy or approaching that stage, we'll start to see that pick up even more.
You offer some advice to readers in your article in the Deal Newsweekly on how to armor themselves, or executives to armor themselves against these lawsuits. One is to invest a little bit more and think about internal training on antitrust. So who should get that training and what should it look like?
Okay, well, I think the one thing that companies need to make sure that they do is that as their salespeople find it more and more important to hang on to every last piece of business, that they don't cross the line into what's really criminal conduct, price fixing and the like. And so it's very important that companies not to get themselves embroiled in what's that very, very difficult or impossible to defend conduct. And so employees with contact with customers or especially with competitors need to understand what they can and can't do.
And record keeping is also very important, internal record keeping, so that you are prepared in the event that there is an antitrust lawsuit. So what should companies be looking at hanging on to?
Well, I think that part of the counseling role that lawyers have is to try to make sure that the pro-competitive reasons for certain decisions are put into the record. So, for example, as major decisions are being made about sales campaigns or new sales structures, bundling of products together, things that might result in lawsuits against them, that as those things are sent up to management for approval or to the board of directors of a company for approval, that the good things about these things are included in those documents, as well as the fact that it may kill one of my competitors.
So what are the courts, what is the history in the courts of responding to these types of antitrust suits?
Well, over the years, as the number of antitrust suits has ticked up, there have been actions taken by the courts to make it more difficult to bring these types of claims. I actually think that in terms of help from the courts, we're about as far as we can expect to go. I think the courts have actually, over the last 25, 30 years, have made it easier to get these claims dismissed, especially frivolous claims dismissed at an earlier stage, if you can tell your side of the story, and that goes back to the type of documents that are kept.
Certainly, President-elect Obama has made it clear that he expects to be rigorous in protection of antitrust. But at the same time, we are in an economy that is struggling, where you might want deals to have a smoother ride, so to speak. What are your expectations for President Obama's administration?
Well, I think it will be more active, although I think that you can't assume that he'll be very liberal in his antitrust agenda. I think active in terms of investigating potential monopolistic conduct, active in terms of reviewing mergers for potential anti-competitive effects, but not unwilling to see that mergers can be very, very pro-competitive and that conduct often has a good reason. So I don't expect him to be extremely liberal, more in the Clinton vein, I think, but very active investigating. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand within the government agencies to investigate conduct that's been going on for the last 8 years.
Mike Keeley, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Suzanne Stevens. Thanks for watching Inside the Deal.